Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the session of Science Pedagogy from CTET Guidance from Dr. Yakaiah and team. I am here with the science pedagogical issues and will be continuing with the next session today. Here, I welcome you. I myself, Dr. Hafiz, would be definitely taking up with the continuation of the last session, which we were discussing about the approaches of science teaching. So, in the previous session, we have already discussed with respect to few approaches of science teaching, like we have done with the inductive approach, deductive approach, heuristic approach, and also we have done with the constructivist approach and collaborative learning approach. Okay, so all these approaches we have discussed in our last session, and now we will be discussing our further approaches in our next session. Okay. So yes, so we are going to start here. Now, the next part here, all the different approaches which are going to come under this session are the first one, problem solving approach. Then sixth is that, and seventh we have here inquiry approach. Eighth, we will be seeing the disciplinary approach, and ninth, the integrated approach. Okay. So let us see the first one, that is the continuation of the approaches, that is problem solving approach. Okay, so under this problem solving approach, it is based upon the principle of involving students in real life problems. So how are we really making the students involved into the real life situations? Okay, so how they are able to solve their issues, their problems. So that is what is nothing but the problem solving approach. The main motto, the main theme, the notion of this approach is to solve their own problems in day-to-day life. Okay, so here National Council of Teachers of Mathematics, it has been said that problem solving should be the central focus of all mathematics curriculum. As such, it is a primary goal of all mathematics instruction and an integral part of all mathematical activity. So this definition was given by NCTM in the year 1989. Okay, so it is a central focus of mathematics curriculum and the primary goal of mathematics instruction and an integral part of the mathematical activity, because in mathematics we find lots of problems, arithmetic and geometric problems, which you definitely have to solve them. So what are the steps under this approach? The first step is recognizing the problem. Okay, so the students realize, they sense the problem which is existing and they conceive the situation as a problem. They see to it that yes, this is a problem, and they provide a rationale of the problem. They try to understand the problem and they identify the various issues related with problem and separate known and unknown things. So they also try to see to it that what are the known things, what are the known facts about that problem, and what are the unknown facts about that problem. Okay, so they try to provide the rationale, they provide to see to it that how best they are able to get the understanding of this problem, right? Okay, then next step is defining the problem. So first step was recognizing the problem, sensing the problem, identifying the problem. Next step is defining the problem accurately. So we are trying to see to it that students define the problem precisely and accurately, what exactly is the problem, and then upon that we proceed further to the third step, collecting relevant data. So here students think, they make decision of how, when and where they can find the unknown issue by applying their existing knowledge and understanding, that is their previous knowledge and the knowledge which they have, and then who else can facilitate them in this process, like teachers, adults, or other professionals. Okay, and what experiments or activities or calculation need to be done to solve the problem. Then what learning resources to be utilized, what learning resources are already available, and what learning resources still needs to be gathered, so that they are able to collect the relevant data upon the particular problem. Okay, then the fourth step we have organizing the data. So once the students visualize the situation of the problem, process the problem solving and expected solution of the problem, so they try to process it, they try to organize the data. Already they have collected the data and now they have to organize the data in a particular way where they are able to solve it. So how they will do this? By the way of drawing a diagram or a graph or a flow chart or a concept map here. Okay, so this will give them the direction of how to go about and how to lead in the particular solving of the problem. Next, fifth step is formulating the tentative solution. So here students attempt to solve the problem, they make observation and collect data to explore the solution. They try to explore the solution, they try to have some kind of a solution, a tentative hypothesis we can say here. In this process, they apply their understanding to construct their knowledge. So when they are formulating a tentative solution, they are applying their understanding, their knowledge, and they are trying to again construct the new knowledge out of this. Okay, then we have the next step, 6.1, arriving at a correct solution. So already they have the possible solutions, number of possible solutions they have in hand. But now, out of all these solutions, which is the best solution that is going to be used for the particular problem? So out of the tentative solutions, number of tentative solutions, a correct solution is reached at through the process of reasoning. So they try to imply here, they try to apply the process of reasoning, the skill of logical reasoning, analytical reasoning to solve the problem, and they try to see to it that which is the perfect solution to go about in solving the issue at hand. Okay, so the seventh last step is verifying the results. So here students draw a conclusion and verify it through the process of reverse reasoning. So they try to reverse reasoning it, and they again try to verify the results, and students present the record, they try to record their solution, and students generalize the conclusion. They come to a conclusion that through this solution, this problem has been solved. Okay, so this is mostly used in the mathematical sciences, where once we go about solving a particular mathematics problem, again we do some kind of a reverse reasoning, again we try to go back and then see that how the solution is being solved and whether we are again getting the correct answer or not. Okay, so in this way we can go with the reverse reasoning in trying to verify the results. So what are the different examples of problem solving approach? We have problems related to the numerical ability, like how much carbon dioxide can be obtained by the combustion of 1.2 kg each of carbon and oxygen. This is one of the example. Next, problems related to process development. Relate the processes of nutrition and respiration with the path of metabolic activities that lead to energy formation and excretion of carbon dioxide. So this is the problem related to process development, how the process is getting developed. So what we are doing here, we are relating the process of two important the metabolic activities, that is nutrition and respiration, the metabolic processes, and then with the path of metabolic activities, how much energy is formed and how far the excretion of carbon dioxide is happening in this process. Then next is problems related to structures, like predicting the bonding in the NO3 species. Then problems related to modification of alternative conceptions, like does the size of the image formed by a lens depend on its aperture? So we are trying to modify what can be the alternate concept in trying to form a particular lens, and how can we form the image depending on only on its aperture. Okay, this is what the different examples are. Many such examples can also be added to this list. Okay, so now we are see here the different role of teachers in problem solving approach. So what is the role of teacher here? First of all, it is to facilitate students to define the problem. Yes, the teacher helps the students to define the problem. Teacher encourages students to plan their method of problem solving. What is their method of reaching the problem and solving it out? Okay, and ensure participation of all. If problem is being solved in groups, if there is 3 to 6 member group, how each one is taking a part in it, and encourage the group which has completed the task earliest, and then ask that group which has completed task to extend help to the other group members who are still struggling with the problem, so that everybody can try to complete the task within the given time frame. And then next is call a few students to share their ideas. So they now try to share their ideas, and then they will see to it that how students are able to complete the work. So here we are, the teacher is asking the students to share their ideas on the problem when all the students have completed the work. So how they have completed the work, how they have done, what knowledge they have gained, and at last whether they have solved the problem or not, all this is being checked here by the teacher. Okay, so here again they also teacher reflect and discuss explicitly on the problem, acknowledging contribution of students. So each and every student is acknowledged for his or her contribution, and they reflect and they discuss the problem, and then what solution they have come across for that particular problem. So here, when a problem solving approach has only the kind of work related or task related activities, then such kind of teacher does the kind of checking and assessment. If the problem solving approach deals with the performance of any activity and experiment, then for that the teacher has a different role of assessing the performance. Okay, so let us see here in the comparative tabular column. So first year, when the work is about a particular task, then they are assessed on reasoning and justification, completion of work, correctness of solution, group participation, novelty in approaching the problem, and multiple approaches of solving problem. Okay, so this is the assessment criteria. And when it is for the activity or experiment, the assessment criteria is: what do you think would happen? Why will it happen? What did actually happen? Why did it happen? Do you find any difference from your prediction? How will you further explain your reasoning? So these are all the questioning occurs when the teacher is trying to see that how the child is performing in activity, and then she or he is trying to take the suggestions from or the answers, eliciting the answers from the student. Okay, this is what is the criteria. Then what are the merits of this? Merit is students. First is students actively construct their learning by thinking, questioning, imagining, visualizing the solution, the situation, searching for solution, doing activities or experiments, and arriving at conclusion on their own. Okay, so here students are actively constructing their knowledge or their learning by thinking, by questioning, by imagining, by visualizing the situation, what the situation is, and searching for a proper solution, and doing different activities and experiments, and ultimately arriving at a conclusion on their own. Next merit is it stimulates intellectual curiosity, intellectual honesty, and a habit of self-study. It also provides training in the technique of information processing skills and also the skill of discovery. Then it encourages interaction among the peer group, among the other members of the group, and then they also interact with the teacher, and develops qualities like such as cooperation, patience, self-confidence, determination, dedication, all that they can try to develop. Now here we also have demerits of this approach. It is a time consuming approach. It is not suitable for all the topics in science to teach only with the single approach, that is problem solving approach, and it is suitable only for the bright and creative students, whereas those who really require help and those who are not so bright, and for them we cannot use up this approach, and cannot be implementable for lower classes. And this method requires special preparation on the part of the teacher, and she should only select those problems which are real and with definite educational values. Okay, so a lot of preparation is required on the part of teacher. Now here the question has come up, that is the technique of role play is considered to be an effective strategy in teaching of science because. So this question has come up in CTET February 2014, and the options here are: it is likely to promote social skills of students. Number 2, it ensures breaking of monotony in the process of learning. Third, it ensures better understanding of one's role in real life. Fourth, it ensures active participation of students in the process of learning. So among the four, which is the best option? See, the technique of role play. So the students are doing some kind of a role play in trying to gather the knowledge, and here the student itself only tries to do the searching for the solution. So the role play is considered to be an effective strategy in teaching of science because not to promote just social skills, not to break the monotony, and ensures understanding of one's role in real life, not so. Okay, and in science learning, it ensures active participation of students in the process of learning. Yes, in the process of learning, there is an active participation of students. So fourth is the right answer for this question. Okay, so let us see with the next question here. While selecting a performance task to help students develop research-oriented skills in a science class, a teacher may pick up a topic. This has come in the year 2011. And from the content given in the syllabus, which must be completed in time. Second option, which majority of the students in the class find interesting. Third, which she thinks is important for the students. Fourth, related to a problem faced by students in their day-to-day functioning and which is a part of the concepts to be covered for this class. So out of this, which is the best option? So what is the question here? While selecting a performance task to help students develop research-oriented skills in a science class, a teacher may pick up a topic from the content in the syllabus, or from majority where the students find interesting, or things that it is important for the students, or which is related to the problem faced by the students in day-to-day life. Okay, so the best option while we are trying to develop research-oriented skills is to see to it that the problem is really faced by the students in their day-to-day life functioning, and which is also a part of the concept to be covered in the class. Okay, so this is the fourth is the right option for this. Now, the next approach, that is seventh one, that is inquiry approach. Okay, so this inquiry approach is based on exploration of ideas, experimentation, and critical thinking. So in the definition, we can see that scientific inquiry requires the use of evidence, logic, and imagination in developing explanations about the natural world. Okay, so this is the definition of scientific inquiry. What exactly it requires? Evidence, logic, imagination, so that we are developing explanations, we are understanding about the natural world. Okay, so let us see what are the features of this inquiry approach. Teacher does not give lecture, but creates a situation in such a way that the class, that the students has to make the to observe, think, classify, record, conclude, and communicate about the concept. So teacher does not give lecture here. She tries to make a situation, she tries to form a situation in such a way that it makes students to observe, think, classify, record, conclude, and communicate about the concept. So directly lecture is not the main theme of the inquiry approach. She does not start right away with the lecture, but she tries to give a situation where the students has to do some activity, and then later they try to come out with their own understanding. Okay, the next is the inquiry should relate to the real life experiences of the students to their learning process. So here students have to be given such experiences that is very much related to their real life and their real life issues. Okay, so the inquiry should relate to the real life experiences of the students to their learning process. So we are amalgamating real life experiences with the learning process. Next, inquiry approach is not just about asking and answering questions. So here no QA sessions are there, but it is a part of it, but it is not the main activity in the inquiry approach. And learners should be facilitated to engage themselves in using equipments and measuring devices to collect data and pose questions for explanation, using graphs and diagrams for communication and getting clarification of ideas from multiple sources. Okay, so here the learners are facilitated to engage themselves to do some activity by using the equipments or measuring devices to collect the data, and then to pose questions on for explanation why this is happening or what is happening, how it is happening. Okay, and then they also use graphs and diagrams to communicate and then clarify their ideas from multiple sources. They try to take up the information from multiple resources, and then they get the clarification of the ideas. Okay, so next here I have got an diagram. Like in the inquiry approach, there is a new experience, a new question, and then there is a possible explanation for it. Then there is a prediction, that they predict that this might be the solution, and then they plan and conduct the investigation. Next, interpret data. Then they are coming towards the conclusion. Suppose if whatever the interpretation data is not correct, again we go back to the prediction phase. Then again we predict, again we plan and conduct an investigation, again we try to interpret the data and again draw the conclusions. And the conclusions what we draw again leads to the possible explanations for that. And the possible explanations, again it leads to the alternative ideas or the existing idea, and if it is an existing idea, it will become a bigger idea. Okay, so whatever the idea is already there, it will be a bigger idea with the help of more investigations, and also leads to the alternative ideas as well. So this is what is the flow chart of the inquiry approach. Next, from the inquiry approach, we have scientific method, and the scientific method here is the first of step is in the scientific method. We ask questions, do some background research, construct hypothesis, a tentative hypothesis, and then test with an experiment whether the hypothesis, whatever they have developed, is correct or not, and whether it is true or false, and then they analyze the results, and then they try to draw the conclusion. So from the conclusion, if the hypothesis is true, they report the results. Even if the hypothesis is false or partially true, again they also report results for that. If the hypothesis is false, they again think again and try again, and then again they try to construct a new hypothesis. Again they try to go with the experimentation, analyze the results, draw the conclusions. Okay, so this is what is the scientific method. So scientific method has originated from the inquiry approach. It is called nothing but the scientific inquiry process. Next here, what are the steps of inquiry approach? So inquiry begins with observation and can be carried out through a reasoning, hypothesis, experimentation and activities, and communicating ideas effectively to construct argument and generate knowledge. Okay, so this is what is inquiry, how it begins. So the learner here engages in scientifically oriented questions. Learner gives priority to evidence in responding to questions. Learner formulates explanations from evidence. Learner connects explanations to scientific knowledge, and learner communicates and justifies explanations. So first of all, there is a question, next evidence, and next from the evidence they try to formulate the explanation for such an evidence, and then from that evidence they try to formulate the explanations and then connect the explanations to the scientific knowledge, and once they do this, they try to communicate what they have found out and justify their explanation. So this is again the different steps. Now here, this is like a diagrammatic representation. There is an inquiry phase, wonderment, considering, developing and posing inquiries, that is a problem. Then they gather the data, that is verify or the hypothesis. So initial research and exploration, where they are developing a working hypothesis. Next, they are proceeding further to the next gathering phase, that is 2, and they do experiments and data analysis here, intense research and data collection, observing, measuring, studying the data and analyzing the data. Lastly, they try to implement, that is the conclusion, that is the closure of extension, and they organize and draw conclusions and formulate explanations. Okay, these are the 4 steps here in the inquiry approach. First is the problem, next is the data gathering about that particular problem, they try to prepare the hypothesis. Next, upon the hypothesis, they do the experiment in the second phase, and lastly, from that they do the analysis part and come to the conclusion in the implementation phase. Okay, this is what is inquiry approach. Now upon this, we have a question from CTET 2011, that is 4 applicants for a post of TGT Science were asked to plan a lesson on consequences of deforestation. Which one of the following lesson plans reflects the scientific approach? The first option here is explains in detail the consequences of deforestation, provides a variety of examples to explain the concept, or includes activities that children can perform in groups and draw conclusions through a PPT presentation, or mentions about the use of ICT to help students understand the concept. Okay, so out of this, which is the best option? When teacher were asked to, these teachers were asked to plan a lesson on consequences of deforestation, which is the best approach they are using to plan the lesson, which is reflecting the scientific approach. Okay, so out of this, just not explanation, just not providing examples, and just not the use of ICT, that they have used ICT here, but it is a third option which includes activities which children can perform in the groups and draw conclusions, okay, through a PPT presentation. So PPT presentation again is nothing but the ICT use. So here already it is coming. So that is the third option, is the complete answer for this question. Okay, then we have next approach, that is a disciplinary approach, and this is based on the subject and its content rather than the process. Okay, So this approach is also known as the subject-oriented approach or the traditional approach, what we have been studying throughout our life. Okay, that is the traditional way of teaching and learning. That is the chalk and talk method. Okay, and then here it is as each subject is separately taught by the teacher in the area of a particular subject. And then, for example, like science, it is traditionally taught as a subject with different compartments or components of science like physics, biology, and chemistry. And this approach is based upon the premise that the subject is a storehouse of facts, methods, theories, concepts, and generalizations. So only we are related to the theoretical knowledge of the subject in the disciplinary approach. So the features here is like the features are, first one here, that is in-depth conceptual knowledge. Every subject has detailed and in-depth conceptual knowledge. Yes, every subject is much detailed and it has having in-depth conceptual knowledge. And in the disciplinary based teaching, it is each subject is taught as a separate discipline. So there is no integration. There is, every subject is a separate compartment. We cannot mix science with social. We cannot mix science with mathematics. Every subject is a separate discipline, and it is a content based teaching where the teaching of disciplinary based curriculum largely is based on content. So mostly content is taught and the source of information is the teacher. So teacher is the dominant person in the classroom where she only will provide the knowledge, and there is no flexibility where the students can construct their own knowledge in the disciplinary approach. Next, the main purpose of the disciplinary approach is to prepare specialist scientists. So they are trying to become more and more specialized in a particular subject, and there is a mastery of subject through rote learning and through understanding the subject and trying to accommodate all the information in the subject. And there is a chalk and talk based teaching, which I already said you now, that it is mostly based upon the chalk and talk and the rote memorization, and textbook is the main authority. No other kind of source or supplementary materials are used here. So this approach restrains the students from observations like going into the field, and other values and conclusions from different resources are not gathered, and it is only the textbook which is the main authority in the disciplinary approach. Okay, then what are the merits of it? If it is so, then what are the merits of it? So this approach develops expertise in the particular subject, and it fosters growth in the subject, and it is fostering in the students the growth of the subject. Once the students study more and more the mathematics or science, they'll be able to be more perfect in that subject, and it is very time saving in the terms of completion of the course, and it provides detailed conceptual understanding of the subject, and it builds theory in particular, which is the subject and discipline which is being taught. So it is trying to help the student in building the theory, concepts, facts, generalizations, laws about that particular subject. And as in the disciplinary approach, the subject is a storehouse of theories, concepts, generalizations. This leads to higher level of thinking. Okay, so these are all the merits of disciplinary approach. We also have demerits here, like it does not provide many opportunities for students' creativity. It does not help in developing creativity and other such skills in the particular subject, and there is always a disinterest in a particular subject, which will always lead to the dropout of the children. And disciplinary approach requires highly knowledgeable and expert teachers to teach them, and it is isolated teaching reduces the scope of socialization and social skills. So students do not mingle, do not discuss among themselves. They don't do any group activity, and just they try to rote memorization so that they try to become perfect. So one of the examples which I must tell you here is the disciplinary approach. Mostly it is used in the coaching centers where they will try to coach, where they will try to get the coaching from the tutors, and their only focus is to crack the competitive examination. So they don't have the much time to do some activities or to go out in the natural field. Okay, so now we have next here, yes, this question, that is the value that helps the student to organize his ideas more logically is which? Is it a social value, utilitarian value, disciplinary value, or the cultural value? So the best answer it is disciplinary value. Okay, so because it is organizing his ideas more logically, so that is why it is a disciplinary value. Okay, so it is the question which is most probably asked. So disciplinary approach is not directly asked, but it may be asked in certain way of, asking the in the terms of values and how the student will, use such a kind of a disciplinary approach. Now next we have the integrated approach here. The integrated approach is based on the interconnectedness and interrelationships between the different curriculum areas. So it is mostly based upon the interrelatedness and interconnectedness between the different curriculum areas. And Pidgeon and Wally in the year 1992 has defined it as an integrated approach, allows learners to explore, gather, process, refine, and present information about the topics they want to investigate without the constraints imposed by traditional subject barriers. Okay, this is what is the definition of integrated approach. They gather, they explore, they process, refine the information about the different topics, and they want to investigate without the constraints imposed by the traditional subject barrier. So it is completely opposite to the disciplinary approach, where we are going into the boundaries of different subjects. And it can be interdisciplinary approach, where the teacher connects what he or she teaches to other lessons of the same subject, or connects his or her lessons with other subjects, making it an interdisciplinary approach or multidisciplinary approach. Like for example, biology, it has its own different lessons, so they are connecting the same subject, the different topics, or in physical sciences. This is the example of intradisciplinary approach. Coming to the cross-disciplinary approach, here this approach examines an issue typically relevant to one discipline through the lens of another discipline. Okay, like we are studying biology and we also want to study biochemistry. So we are trying to take up the concepts from biology in trying to understand the subject biochemistry. So here we are trying to relate, we are trying to go into cross-disciplinary way, where one discipline to another discipline is being understood. Okay, then next it could be multidisciplinary, where the approach examines an issue from multiple perspectives without making a concerted effort to systematically integrate various disciplines. Example, environmental science studies here, or environmental sciences. So here what is happening is a lot of different disciplines are being used without making a concerted effort to systematically integrate various disciplines. So we are moving into different diverse subjects. Like environmental studies has a lot of different diverse topics to be dealt, like for example, pollution and the causes for pollution, the species, the habitat, the ecology, okay, so ecosystem, climatic changes. So different things are there in environmental sciences, which is nothing but it is a multidisciplinary approach. Through it only we can try to understand this subject. Okay, next it is interdisciplinary approach. This approach examines an issue from multiple perspectives, leading to a systematic effort to integrate the alternative perspectives into a unified or coherent framework of analysis. Example, environmental studies and geography. We are relating both the subjects. So it is becoming interdisciplinary, where from one discipline we are going to another discipline and we are relating both the disciplines into a unified or coherent framework of analysis, and we are trying to understand the different perspectives. Like suppose when we are studying environmental studies, we also have to study a geography, the climatic changes of different regions in the world, and then to understand each and every region's environment, how it is affecting and what is the geographical location of that. Okay, so in this way we are trying to have an interdisciplinary approach. Next, what are the features of the integrated approach? Okay, so let us see with this approach. Now under this approach, the first feature is it is having a wide conceptual knowledge. Integrated approach provides an opportunity for broader and wider conceptual knowledge. Child-centered teaching learning. Yes, it is integrated approach promotes child-centered teaching and learning, and integration of skills with contents promotes a lot of skills with contents like creativity, adaptability, critical reasoning, and collaboration are the key features of integrated learning. Next, we have here the theme. Suppose this is the theme, and we have here whatever the theme we are studying, we can relate it with English, with different subjects like physical education, geography, mathematics, history, music, or some other kind of a thing. So we are just trying to see that how we are integrating a particular theme with diverse subjects, diverse disciplines. Okay, then the other feature is that it is a teacher as a mediator here. The role of a teacher is a mediator between knowledge and the child. It uses modern method, whereas it requires the use of modern methods of teaching, such as inquiry-based teaching, and there's a lot of having flexibility in different disciplines. There's no rigidity. An integrated approach is flexible, and the method of learning accommodates a variety of learning styles like theories and multiple intelligences, and it tries to take into different ability of the students. Okay, and it prepares for the future citizens. The main purpose of integrated approach is to prepare the future citizens of the society, and there is openness. It is open to new ideas and procedures, and it is a multi-learning environment where we can move further from classroom of the four walls of classroom into the laboratory, to the outdoor field visits, to the computer zones, or to the internet. We can find out the different resources. Okay, then what are the merits of it? The merits of it is it gives detailed conceptual understanding of the content, pays particular attention to increase understanding, retention, and application of general concepts, and it helps students to select a particular discipline whichever their interest lies, and it tries to trigger the interest of the students. It fosters creativity, it develops lots of higher level thinking skills, it promotes modern methods of teaching, and it helps in developing self concepts and socialization. Approach is having a realistic applications, and it has a lot of connections between various curricular disciplines. Okay, all these are nothing but the merits of integrated approach. Now, what are the demerits? It is really a time consuming because it is not having single theme. It is having different disciplines, and it needs to be seen to it that teachers are well equipped and expert in using the modern methods of teaching, and the approach is not handled carefully, then the child may get confused in various disciplines. And lastly, integrated approach needs expertise to select a theme and organization of various disciplines. So there's a lot of expertise to be needed, and here a question has come in the year 2011 upon this, and the principal of a particular school is keen about an integrated approach of teaching science rather than teaching different subjects separately. So this is the basis of which option here: non-availability of qualified teachers in her school to teach separate disciplines. Next, difficulty to adjust the teachers, difficulty to adjust the students to different teachers. Next, all the disciplines are interlinked. Yes. So in the integrated approach, all the disciplines are interlinked where the teacher can draw cross-curricular linkages. So fourth is the best option for this. And in this also option given here, already we have discussed this in the 2011 CTET questions pedagogy to this related, where while teaching the concept force can change the shape of an object to students, a teacher plans the following activities. Yes. So the best option here is she wants to prove her knowledge, follow her lesson plan, prepare for students' test, and to have learners in the class where she can address multiple intelligences. So out of whatever the activities she's planning, like explaining, providing a demonstration, showing audiovisual film, the best option out of this is for the approach is the fourth one, where she is trying to have different learners and she wants to address multiple intelligences. So this is the best option for this question. Okay. So I hope you are able to understand today's class and you're able to follow up. I'm just hoping to see to it that you're looking forward in joining in with the next sessions and the upcoming sessions for this CTET Science Pedagogy. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, madam. One more power-packed and relevant and useful questions-based session. Looking forward to see you in the next session.
Thank you very much, sir.